Well, hey there. You've stumbled upon the intersection of internet quandaries and psychological insight. Welcome to Veritas Views on AITA, where the quirks of the internet meet the expertise of Veritas Psychology Partners.
I got my coffee, Gayle. I'm ready. We record these in the mornings. Are you set?
I've had my coffee. I'm moved on to water now.
Moved on to water.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Michael,
it's deep into the morning. It is at my house.
All right. So, Michael, you have a story. You have a question for us, don't you? You always have a question for us, which I love about you. Even if we're not recording a podcast, you've got some question in your mind.
That is true. There's always something going on.
Can I ask you real quick, and maybe this should be for the end, but what's your rabbit hole right now?
Ooh, save that for the end.
Save that for the end. Hey, our bonus conversation today, what is Michael MacBride's rabbit hole? Okay, take us away.
I love that as a reoccurring theme, maybe. That's kind of funny.
It's going to be a reoccurring theme for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, like Dan said, I always, what I do, my role in this is I go out and I find a scenario for them to weigh in on. And, you know, it's something where people have told a story and they've essentially said, you know, who's the asshole in this scenario? And often they want defense of whether they are or not. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to it. We're going to kind of weigh in. They bring their insight. And we'll see if we can come up with any kind of determination. This is one. So sometimes I get these and I hold on to them, and I don't know exactly why I'm like reluctant to let them go. But this is one I've had for a while. And so it'll be interesting to see what you guys do with it. And
you hoard them?
I do.
Just keep them in a little pile like a squirrel.
The one the other day that we did about asking the question during the psychological teaching moment, like that was one I held on to. Yeah, I held on to that one for a long time for some reason.
Okay, since you brought it up, before we get to our actual question, Dan, you invited me to ask you, sympathetic or parasympathetic, which is which?
Oh, good call.
Sympathetic is excitatory, parasympathetic is calming.
Do you remember the mnemonic that was offered in that?
I remember the mnemonic.
Okay.
I just assume that sympathetic and parasympathetic. So I like maybe it's up for the first and down, but no, I don't remember the mnemonic. Remembering
they talked about surprise and picnic.
About mnemonic devices, you have to remember them.
Yes.
And if you don't remember them, then you don't remember.
They don't work so well. But yes, they talked about surprise and picnic. And so sympathetic being surprise, excitatory, like you said, and parasympathetic being picnic, something you do when you're relaxed. So
and you said at the moment that was a terrible mnemonic that you'd never remember it. So this is totally fair.
Okay, now you mentioned that, I remember saying that.
And you said that you never remember, and you've said this a couple of times. And so I was curious to see, now that we'd had the conversation, it was a bit primed up in your brain, but it had been a few weeks too, that if you could pull that out, even if you weren't aware that it had finally maybe stuck somewhere. I didn't mean to call you out in kind of an assholey way. But
I refuse to believe it was your mnemonic, though. So,
it was not my mnemonic, not at all.
No. Okay, Michael.
We should do the question. What is the question today?
Michael.
Sure. Well, but first, also, if you're new, then stick around through the credits. We will have that bonus conversation we alluded to. But I never tell Dan or Gayle what I'm going to throw their way, and especially this one that I've probably had for like 2 years or so. But this is the prompt. This is what we got, which is, am I the asshole for always dumping lemon on my food?
Wait, what?
It's your fucking food. You can season it however you want.
There's got to be
weird, and you're going to have some tooth decay, maybe. But what?
That's a lot of lemons, because lemons are, depending on that.
You know, this person is deeply fearful of scurvy.
Where do they go? Yeah, where do you get? I mean, do they live in a lemon-populated area that it's easy to find inexpensive lemons? If they live up here in Minnesota, you got to go to the Aldi and buy the lemons, and they're usually good, but not always. They can get a little spendy times a year, and like I hope they live in a lemony area.
And all of a sudden, Michael, I am now hearing our son, as a very young child, asking a question. And it was like the most it was like sort of meant, you know, when little kids are really little and they make jokes. He looked at us one day and he goes, "Have you ever splashed in a lemon?" So that's all I can hear in my head about this question. I know it was little, so no, forgive
me. But and by the way, just before if you're using lemon juice, use the real thing if you can. I don't think it's stuff in the jar. They can't. No.
It's real. It's just old and concentrated and sad.
I don't.
I no,
It makes me
no.
sad. That
It should make me sad.
and garlic both make me sad.
Yeah.
So, all right, Michael, please continue on while I stop being such a food snob.
This person may have enough lemons that maybe they have splashed in a lemon. We'll see. So this is her story. So poster is female, and she says, I might be the asshole here, and I'll take judgment if so. I grew up in a big house where leftovers were basically a free-for-all, even if you bought the food yourself. To keep my stuff from getting eaten, I started drowning my food in lemon juice. I could tolerate it and eventually liked it, but nobody else would touch it. It worked. Now as an adult, it's just something I still do and don't even think about. So on a recent trip with a group of girlfriends where we all paid for our own meals, since some of us have dietary restrictions, etc., I'd been doing the same, asking for extra lemon wedges at dinner and soaking my food, especially since I plan to eat my leftovers later. A few days in, one of the girls confronted me at breakfast and said I was making food inedible for others. I was totally confused because I wasn't touching anybody else's food, just mine. Turns out she'd been sneaking leftovers at night, ignoring the names on the containers, and only realized after twice ruining her midnight snack that I was sabotaging my food. I told her straight up she shouldn't be eating other people's leftovers. She claimed she was just saying what everybody else felt, but the silence at the table and said otherwise. Later, each girl privately told me they didn't like their food being eaten either, but didn't want to stir up any tension. That night, I lemoned the fuck out of my food, as usual, and the same girl got upset, stormed off to the bathroom, and gave me dirty looks all the way back to the Airbnb. I'm honestly baffled that this is even a thing, but maybe I'm the jerk for souring the trip? Sorry for the pun. Am I the asshole?
Oh, my goodness.
I love spicy food. I really do. And if I'm preparing food for other people, I check with them how much spice they want on their food. So I don't do it. But if I go out to a restaurant and I'm just getting it for myself along with a group of other people, there might be leftovers. I'm like, where's the fucking chili oil? I'm putting whatever spice, because like every food, other than maybe chocolate ice cream, every food has some type of spice that's going to make it better. In my world, just about across the board. So, and I'm not doing this to ruin the food for anyone else. However, if it's my food, I'm spicing the shit out of it. And while the lemon juice thing has an odd beginning, the genesis of it is something that is really clearly what she's being accused of doing. The fact she likes lemon all over her food, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this one really got to me.
It really did. Wow. I think I'm really in the same camp, but it's sort of ironic that the genesis, as you called it, of this behavior was so that her leftovers didn't get eaten.
And now her leftovers are getting eaten.
And now she's in a new situation where she's got a friend who's scamming her leftovers.
Guess what? Fucking working.
It's totally working. And so if you had purchased food as a group and split the check, and like maybe there's a world in which your leftovers are now available for common consumption. This friend who is repeatedly eating other people's leftovers is probably also the person who goes into the office fridge and consumes somebody else's lunch and then like pretends not to know about it. But to get pissed, I mean, come on, lady, step off.
I mean,
if you want your leftovers,
if you want to
order more at dinner.
If you want to, and if I was like, if I'd gone out with a bunch of people, there were a bunch of leftovers in the fridge. If I'd be like, hey, Gayle, I saw you had some of the pad thai. Do you mind if I were you planning on eating that? Not that you, Michael, and Michelle and I have ever gone on vacation together, but if we were to have done that.
And you were sharing an Airbnb, and there was
do you mind if I eat your pad thai? And you'd be like, yeah, sure. And then I'd be like, all right, where's the sample?
Or I would tell you, no, I was going to eat it for breakfast.
Spice on it, I'm sure, because no one does. So like, I can't imagine eating someone else's food without asking them.
I think that this friend is really displaying some problematic behaviors. I was going to go stronger than that, but I kind of pulled it back at the last moment. But I am unhappy with this friend.
I am really.
The friend is I mean, it's okay. And again, it's one thing to get back to the Airbnb and you go, I'm kind of hungry. It's a total nother when it starts to become a pattern. Now there's more than one night. You have more than one friend who's clearly saying, this lady's eating our leftovers. This lady needs to be ordering more food, maybe stop at the grocery store. If you're going to have a midnight snack, own it. What she's actually doing is she's sort of stealing from her friends. Her friends are counting on having these leftovers. Otherwise, they would have left them at the restaurant and abandoned them. They're not abandoned. They're claimed food. They have a name on them. She is stealing from her friends.
If I came home, and you know what, here's the thing, if I woke up in the morning and went, you know what, I really want to finish off that stuff I had, and I went in the fridge and it was gone, or half it was gone, I'd be like, I would be
right?
I would be pretty annoyed in the morning. Like, who, like, it's not like,
what call do you have for telling me how I'm going to eat my food or leave my food? I mean, this lemon thing is okay. She admits that it's weird, but it's her taste palette. And we were jumping all over the front. Now, third minor characters, minor third party. Thank you. These friends needed to fucking speak up.
Right.
They needed to look at that friend and say, you know, actually, we've noticed our leftovers are gone too, and we don't appreciate the leftovers being eaten without our consent, without our agreement.
And this is something I think people are often reticent. Like, we've created, and this is one piece of culture that makes me unhappy. I want to change this about like, if it's up to me, like, to get to make random changes in social norms. One of the random changes in social norms I would want to make is like, speak up if your friend's doing something that's problematic. I think it's a kind, caring thing to say, hey, you know, this behavior of yours is causing problems for other people and it's making people not want to hang around you. I think that's an incredible kindness when done respectfully and directly, in a way that you're not trying to complain to the person, but you're trying to help the person. And this is an opportunity for the friends to say to her, hey, you know what? When you eat other people's food, it pisses them off. And if you asked, we would probably just give it to you. But you're doing that feels like stealing and doesn't make me want to be your friend. Like we would. It's the sort of thing.
Really nicely said. Wow.
What's the kind of thing we teach our 10-year-old to fucking say, right? Like, you know, I mean, I literally just saw some random internet video about this yesterday. This mom made her kids go over to the neighbor and say, we stole that thing off your front porch. We're really sorry. And the woman was like, hey, if you wanted something, you could have asked. I'd probably given it to you. And the kids were like, yeah, we're really sorry. Like, it was the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Why is it that we feel so shy about saying to our friends, hey, this behavior for yours is really hurting our friendship? I think it's a kindness to do that. It's much kinder than what we would do here in Minnesota, which is just stop talking to them for like 2 or 3 years and then tell them, or let them hear about it from a third party, like some friend. Yeah, that would be the Minnesota thing to do. So I'm annoyed with the friends also.
I have no problem with the poster here. She's saying, am I an asshole for putting lemon all over my food? No, you can eat your food however you want. Salt it,
not
pepper,
the way I'd like
lemon
it,
juice,
fine.
It doesn't matter because you're not eating it, right? The moment a dish comes to the table and it's a shared platter, don't put your lemon juice all over it before other people have a chance. If you are offering your friend a bite, I go out to dinner with a friend of mine every month, and we love to share our meals a little bit, right? So we try to purposely get something different, and we don't go halvesies, but you know, we will share bites. And there are times where, for whatever reason, because we like it a little different, or honestly, one of us might have like a little bit of a cold or whatever, we negotiate. Let me take a bite of this with my clean utensil, or before I put this all over it. And we take the bite before we then, you know, make the food to our preference, whatnot. And we talk to each other about it. And then that's just the way it is, right? Like it just works. So if she's going to share her dish with her friend, do it before you put the lemon juice on, or let her know, hey, I like this heavy with lemon. You know me, haha. But the poster, I just don't have a problem with, because none of those are all massaged facts of this, right? That the situation is the leftovers are being stolen, and then she's being berated for being the victim of the theft.
Yeah, the lemon, that she happens to like a peculiarly large amount of lemon on her food is immaterial to the point here. The entire point really is that someone's stealing food, and that the friends are just kind of letting it slide and not kind of standing up and saying, hey, she's out of line. I mean, you know what?
I will say, a burglar coming into your house and being like, dude, your TV is a Magnavox, and I really expected a Samsung out of you.
Yeah, that would be out of line. That would be out of line. Yeah, that would be totally out of line. Although I will say, I mean, I do think that it's just a squeeze of lemon or lime or some citrus on top of almost everything before serving it makes it better. Just that little hit of acid. I mean, Just
Doesn't sound like she's doing a little squeeze.
No, it sounds like she's just fucking it up with lemon.
Yeah.
But again, this is another one of those like sciencey things that I'm so fascinated by, that we tend, like, the more we eat a food, the more we tend to really like the food. I just find that really fascinating.
Sure. Yeah.
That and again, if you don't like spicy food, don't come to my house. Well, you can come to my house. I'll tone it down for you, but like, so why would you want food that doesn't have a lot of flavor?
Michael, what did the internet serve up here, as it were? Were you missing anything? I had to pun. She punned. It was great. Is there anything we're missing that we should know from the commenters? Did she come back to this post? Like,
she didn't give a lot of updates, unfortunately, but there were some funny things I'll tell you about. And Dan, I'll say, like, you do a great job of accommodating all different levels of spice. So you do a great job of that. But
although
anyway,
I'll tell you, this lady would love my hummus, because when I make hummus, I really like to fuck it up with lemon and tahini. Like, it's hard to put. This is just, again, pro tip here. If you're making hummus, put in too much lemon and too much tahini. It's going to be way better. Okay, please, Michael, continue.
So the vast majority, like, this is as close to unanimous, I think, as I've ever seen, said you're not the asshole here. It's your fucking food. Fuck everybody else. The few people who said, who had any other kind of inklings, one info, just said, like, hey, did you actually say, like, the food's off limits? Like, did you say, like, we're going to buy,
because you put your name on the fucking container.
But
I don't.
But the question
does not need to be on there.
Yeah, if it says Dan on the container, it doesn't matter. All right, go ahead, Michael.
But the question was essentially, like, you talked about buying your own food. Did you have the conversation about what happens to leftovers? And, lots of people pounced on that person and said, it's implied. Like, come on, if you're buying your own food, you own that until you give permission to somebody else to eat it, right?
If you're buying it, yeah, if you're at the Airbnb and you all ordered food in, like, you ordered 2 large pizzas, and there's half a pizza left over, then it's probably fair game. We're open for discussion. But if you go out and each one of you gets a personal pizza and each one of you has a slice left over, each slice is yours.
Absolutely. Or if you get your meal, it's too much, you say, I'm going to take this back, so if anyone would like it, they can help themselves.
Yes, if they don't hate lemon.
Sure, but because you bought it, the assumption is it's yours unless freely given or asked and provided. I don't think that it's a reasonable, and I think the internet jumped all over that person too. It's not a reasonable assumption that it is available for all until it is announced. It's, directionality here matters.
Right.
And then there were a couple people who posted everybody sucks here, but then they put the caveat, except for the original poster, which was kind of funny because, like, I agree. Like you said, the third party characters, or what, I can't remember exactly how you
minor
said
third
minor third characters, they didn't have that conversation, and so all those people were like, you need to, like, grow the fuck up and have an adult conversation about what's going on. Don't just let somebody eat your food and bitch about it quietly to yourself. So but my favorite part was the tangent of everybody talking about the things that they did to food, and how those things came about. So one person said, lemon, interesting choice. For me, desserts get coconut and food gets heavy garlic, which started as a way to keep my roommates out of it. This one's like, you like it with lemons? Kind of gross, but this one said that they spit in their food at the end of it. Like, it was just interesting how many people, either from siblings or roommates, had some version of this as, like, a defense mechanism to protect food. When
I told you about that social work student that showed up one time at a potluck, and every time we'd have a potluck, Steve would bring a jug of milk and a thing of Oreos. That was his standard bring, and she would pick up the Oreos, and then before she put them on her plate, she would lick both of them and then put them on her plate. And we were sort of like, dude, why are you licking your Oreos? Well, because if I didn't, at home, my siblings would steal my Oreos. So I lick them first. We're not going to steal your Oreos. This is a work potluck.
Yeah, it was a
but
work.
She still would, repeatedly, like, we busted her balls on it the first time, and she still would do it afterwards.
We get into these habits that, I mean, this really does underscore, this is like, like in my age, I'm starting to like roll back a little bit to some of my psychodynamic roots. I've been a cognitive behavioral therapist through most of my entire career, but I started out very dynamic in my training. And sometimes I roll back into that psychodynamic training where we talk about the impact of our early childhood experiences on later life. And both your social work friend and the original poster in here are both talking about how this insecurity, food insecurity as a child, is impacting them even today. One recognized that people aren't necessarily going to steal our food, but just likes it with lemon, and the other still like, I still feel the need to lick the Oreo, even though I know that no one in this like workplace is going to reach over and swipe my Oreo off my plate, because that's so like creates such discomfort on her. What fascinating impacts there are from early childhood that sometimes just resonate with us, even when our conscious brains know that they don't make any more sense anymore. Those defense mechanisms, they'll stick with us.
Yeah.
Well into adulthood.
And there was a side conversation about that as well. It was kind of branded food trauma. Childhood food trauma was the phrase that they used in there. And just kind of talking about like the importance of, what was the phrase? They said, your lemoning habit could stem from childhood food insecurity or trauma, a way of protecting your autonomy. You may want to seek treatment to kind of unpack this and think about it. Even if you enjoy the lemon now, that's fine, but like think about those underlying things. And then the last thread that was kind of funny was the humor. I classify it as humor and petty ideas, which is like the revenge, right? And so one was like, be sure to offer lemon to everybody at the table so they all have an equal opportunity.
I was going to say, limiting your food is not revenge enough. Okay.
And then lemon the thief's leftovers and see how that goes. And then look her in the eye while licking your food and boxing it up.
So, but here's something I think I'm gonna something we often talk about here is like, you should get help for this. But I wanna. There's something like, not every life experience that resonates into adulthood needs help. And this is someone for whom, like, someone says you need to unpack this and work on it. Not necessarily. I mean, if this person has kind of gotten over the food trauma, they're not food insecure, they're not like afraid of not having food, they're not having any kind of post-traumatic symptoms around it. They just, at this point in their life, really like to lemon the fuck out of their food. And that's all that's resonating forward. I don't necessarily like, we talk about the need for seeking help. There's a problem, there's something going on and it's causing some problem in your life. And so if this isn't causing a problem in her life, other than that she likes her food over lemony, I don't know that I'd necessarily feel a need to prescribe treatment here, although it's worth unpacking potentially.
I think you had exactly the same sort of reaction when we heard that posters or commenters response. I don't think that this needs unpacking. She's very clear about where it comes from. She's also very clear that this does not bother her now. She enjoys the food this way. She's not sacrificing. And so, a good therapist friend of mine once said, distress and impairment. Does this symptom bother you, and is it causing impairment? Right. And in this case, the answer is no to both. The argument for the latter would be, you have a friend that's upset with you about it. However, she's upset because of her own stuff. Actually, it's this quote unquote friend who needs to look at why is she doing so much night eating? And it sounds like there's quite a bit going on because, over the course of the trip, multiple leftovers are being eaten. So there's kind of a night eating issue going on. There's a personal boundaries violation that is occurring on behalf of this friend on a repeated basis. And when called out, she's doubling down. I would say that the original poster, probably from the facts that we have, I would not prescribe treatment. However, and I don't think the distress is the posters. I think the distress is and the impairment is coming in on behalf of this travel partner. And I'm reluctant 100%. To call her a friend at this point because she is violating boundaries left and right.
And you know what? I'm not inviting her on the next trip. No, seriously. If you had a friend who,
I thought you were being facetious. Yeah, no, I agree.
No.
If I went on, you don't come.
If I went on a trip with a bunch of guys and someone was stealing our food and giving a shit about it the next day, oh, you ruined the food that I stole from you, I'd be like,
fuck off,
dude. I mean, I'm not a native Minnesotan, so I'd probably be like, dude, fuck, I probably would actually be very blunt and direct. But I don't think that guy's getting invited to another trip because like I want to trust my friends, and if you're gonna steal my food, I don't feel like I can trust you in general. Like I've lost trust in you if I can't. So
yeah, it's a much bigger issue in the friendship at that point.
Yeah. I'm not inviting this gal back on the next trip. So
yeah, thanks again for another riveting debate and a glimpse into the collective conscience of internet forums. And remember, morality is not just to lemon or not lemon.
You have me really curious about what is out there in terms of interesting food habits.
I know.
So I'm going to invite our listeners, hit us up in the mailbag. What do you put on your food that other people think is kind of odd or strange?
Yeah. And stick around for the bonus conversation, which will involve our host.
And follow and share Veritas Views on any of the podcast platforms with your neighbors and friends. And see you on the other side of the credits.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits. Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing this show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael MacBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. MacBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's that bonus conversation.
Okay, Michael, and to preface this, Michael MacBride, as we've mentioned before, is the most curious person I have ever met in my life. So, Michael, briefly, see how I did that, Gayle? Briefly, what's your current rabbit hole that you're going down?
Okay, briefly. So this does have a much longer story.
Of course it does.
Which I'll link so people can find it. But the very short version is somehow I got involved in this story about this adopted boy who was adopted in North Carolina and then unadopted. And there's this French documentary that like tracks his story and all this stuff. It's really sad, but we're essentially French TikTok thinks it's me. Even though there's such a huge age discrepancy. And so they keep reaching out to me saying like, I'm so glad you're okay. And so consequently, then I am like digging in, trying to find out what actually happened to this boy. And in the process, I'm learning all kinds of stuff about adoption. And so they have this language, about unadopted or aborted adoptions. And there's like all kinds of phraseology that's super interesting that I just never heard before. So that's my thing. I'm digging into U.S. Adoption Agency, trying to connect with the French documentary makers to see if I can find out more information. That's how I spend my fun time, I guess. So
remember when somehow one of the videos caught hold and you came to me in the morning, you're like, this weird thing is happening with the videos. That particular video on TikTok, Michael, do you know approximately right now how many views it has? When you say viral in French TikTok, what are we talking?
I don't remember, but I'll find it real quick.
But if you could, Michael, link in the show notes to that original video.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was,
and send that link
wasn't
to me
about adoption. It was just a book review. Like it was a book review about the history of the index that people had latched onto, and for whatever reason, just like assumed this is me. Like this is apparently what this kid is doing now that he's been adopted. So 68,000 views. So great. Tune in again next week for a whole nother Am I an Asshole debate, and who knows, maybe I'll share what I'm working on then too. So
we love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.